We are now just a little under 5 months away from the official release of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio, that is all set and ready to end the sequel trilogy and the Skywalker saga itself. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, what's really exciting about Episode 9 is that we do know that this film is going to do amazing things for the character of Luke Skywalker in this movie that is actually said to be quite unexpected and magical for the audience to see once it actually releases in theaters come December of this year. And what's so exciting about this is that this movie really is taking a lot of risks that are actually said to have a lot of nostalgia attached to it. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and when it all comes down to one of the concept art descriptions and one of the set leaks, this is where things begin to get very exciting for Episode 9. Now, specifically, it's described that one of the scenes that were filmed during the month of January of this year involved Mark Hamill, Daisy Ridley, and Adam Driver, where it's described that during one of their flash fights, Mark Hamill as Luke is said to intervene through the netherworld of the Force, where he is able to force grab both lightsabers from Rey and Kylo, to pause their duel where Luke is holding Kylo and Rey's saber in each hand. As Luke emerges from a strange rip in thin air that glows in a blue hue, it's said that as Luke walks out, he transitions from being a blue hue Force ghost to appearing full flesh and blood, and even younger once he enters the mortal world. It's that during this moment, Luke is using a new power that George Lucas utilized into the story, and that it's based on an abandoned concept from the early 2000s that had to do with Luke using a way to resurrect himself. Though it's unclear how true it will be true to the abandoned idea, this implies it is heading in that direction by JJ and George. This is described to be the moment in which Luke tells Rey and Kylo a lesson and shows them the netherworld. Once Luke goes back in with Rey and Kylo, it's said that his blue hue returns as a Force ghost. So let's go over a couple of parts here. Now, this is said to be a brand new power that Luke uses in the movie that was actually done by George Lucas. Now, you guys may or may not recall, but back in the early 2000s, there was an abandoned story that George did not approve for the EU that would involve Luke coming back to life in some way, shape, or form using a specific Force power. And this, all I believe, if I'm correct, took place after the Legacy comics. If I'm correct on that. The Legacy comics, by the way, one of which involved an issue where his descendant, Cade Skywalker, saw the Force ghost of Luke, and Cade would even eat death sticks to keep the Force ghosts away. So, with that being said, in this particular scenario, we have both Rey and Kylo Ren engaging in a saber duel during one of their flash fights that is interrupted by, of course, Luke Skywalker, and this is all done by a rip in thin air, almost as if it's a rip in space and time. A tear just in thin air is the best way to describe it, where it's really showing a bright blue hue glow, and once that actually glows, Luke Skywalker is said to enter into the mortal world, showing both Rey and Kylo Ren exactly what the netherworld of the Force really is eventually. However, while Luke enters the mortal world, he is able to Force grab both lightsabers that belong to Rey and Kylo, one of which really belongs to Luke, of course, right? So, with that being said, now he's holding two sabers, and he brings both Rey and Kylo into the netherworld of the Force because both sides of light and dark, Rey and Kylo, are quite curious about what the other side of this world really is, what the netherworld of the Force really actually is. And that's interesting because we do know that we've never seen this side of Star Wars before, and this is something that J.J. Abrams would absolutely do. And I'm seeing a lot of similarities here, I'm not gonna lie, to what was shown in Westworld Season 2. If you guys have not seen Westworld Season 2, toward the very end, you guys may get an idea of what I'm really talking about. And the reason why I bring that up is because J.J. Abrams was a part of Westworld as well. So, on top of all of this, what I really like about Episode 9 is that they're really trying to innovate a lot of aspects for Star Wars that's really going to be used as a foundation to create new and brand new experiences for the audience around the world once they go ahead and see this film. Now, this by far is the biggest hint and or indicator of Luke being resurrected to a certain extent in The Rise of Skywalker. Obviously, it's not going to be permanent from what it seems. It's a temporary thing where Luke comes back in resurrected form and he's able to Force grab both lightsabers out of Rey and Kylo's hands and that's when he's able to tell them a couple of lines of dialogue and brings them to the netherworld of the Force. This I honestly like. It really seems like that they're really trying to find a realistic way to bring Luke back. At the end of the day, really, they should just bring him back in full force, but that's very unlikely at this point, and it's quite unfortunate to say the truth. But I will say that this film does have a lot of potential to mark itself down as the best of this trilogy. It really does. You know, when we look at Star Wars as a whole, it's all a matter of evolution. You know, all a matter of trying out new ideas and see where it leads the fans and how the fans agree with it. You know, it's all about, you know, pretty much trying new things out. So, anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.